Today we're going to build Huggy Wuggy, Prototype, and Lily from Poppy Playtime Chapter 5. This video is going to be absolutely epic, so make sure you watch until the very end. But that's not all. We'll also have the full Smiling Critters collection and huge figures of CatNap and DogDay. We're putting together the complete Poppy Playtime collection. It's going to be awesome. And we'll start with Huggy Wuggy. I've already built him in one of my previous videos. You can find it on the channel. There was a full step-by-step tutorial there. But today we're upgrading him and turning him into the version from Poppy Playtime Chapter 5. He looks all beaten up, stitched together, and bandaged. For this first DIY, I'm going to use this kind of modeling clay that dries into a lightweight, foam-like material. It won't stain the Lego, and it can be easily cleaned off.
Banana.
I've used it before when I made minions out of it. It was on my other channel. Let's start with the first attempt to make a little bow on Huggy Wuggy's torn off arm. But this was the first fail. It didn't work. It didn't work well with paper tape either. And then I had an idea. What if we use a rubber band? So I made a small loop out of it and fixed it with a tiny drop of rubber glue. It actually looks pretty good. I like it. Next we can see that our Huggy Wuggy is wrapped with bandages in a few places. I decided to try making those bandages out of tape as well. Honestly, it looks kind of boring, and I'm going to improve it later, so let's not count this as a finished job. I colored the paper tape with markers to add a bit more texture, like in the original game. Now let's move on to the head. We can see that Huggy Wuggy's head is ripped open and stuffing is sticking out. For this upgrade, I'm going to use Thomas Spider, which I built earlier. By the way, back then we also made an awesome cartoon, but that was on my old channel. YouTube basically didn't give us any views at all, which is such a shame. We put a ton of work into it. I'll show a little piece of that cartoon here. I took the clay, wrapped it around the piece, and colored it with a marker. Now let's make a hole in his stomach. For this, I once again partially disassembled Huggy Wuggy. And with this clay, I sculpted the stuffing coming out, colored it with markers, and let it dry. And I also made the little string that he's stitched up with. This is what we got. That's the first stage. I let it dry, and then I decided to improve the bandages on the body. I don't like how they look now. They're too boring. So I decided to use this clay again and make these chunky 3D bandages on the body. If you use a thicker piece of clay, it sticks well and keeps its shape. It's much harder to make a thin piece. It just falls apart, like when I tried to tie up the torn off arm. Overall, I think it looks pretty good. And once again, I quickly add some details with a marker here. And our final Huggy Wuggy ends up looking like this. I think he turned out pretty great. What do you think?
Special guest is here!
Now let's move on to Prototype. I'll use Venom as a parts donor. In my opinion, the design of his leg, especially the foot, is really interesting. Let's use it as a base. Here I'm showing how I assembled it in my Venom video. Actually, I didn't plan exactly how I was going to build this, so we'll be experimenting together. For the clown's body, I'll use minifigures from the old Amazing Digital Circus set. We had two not-so-great Pomni figures in there. One of them has a very plain, boring head. That's the head we'll use, and then I'll repaint the face. And now we're moving on to Prototype's legs. To create them, I decided to use the legs from the Choo Choo Charles set, but I modified them a bit. Here you can see all the leg parts from Choo Choo Charles. Originally, in the set, they were supposed to be very long, and with fewer joints. I'm making the legs shorter and adding an extra joint. It looks more realistic and, in my opinion, pretty awesome. These creepy legs turned out great. Let's attach them to the body, and since prototype has some red details, we definitely need to add a bit of red for extra epicness. Now let's move on to prototype's arms.
The child is what they made you.
I used parts from Thomas. They used to be his legs, but now they're becoming prototype's arms. For the head, I used the Pomni figure.
Shall we see what you look like?
Wrong side out.
But when I tried attaching the body to the large torso, I wasn't really happy with it. It looked too bulky and stuck out too much, so I decided to take the torso apart and try something different. The first attempt was with this kind of mechanism. But I didn't like it, so I went back to the simplest and most basic mechanism. And now it fits perfectly. I think it looks pretty good. Let's add a few red decorative details.
What did you do with them?
Now about those long fingers. I was thinking for a while about how to make them, and then I thought, why not use our Wolverine from the mech armor and take his claws? And now we need to figure out how to build the ribcage. I immediately had an idea for how to do it. I took these finger pieces from Venom and put them together like this. I think it looks pretty interesting. Alright, now let's move on to the head. I grabbed some acrylic paint and a thin brush. Drawing a full detailed mouth with teeth like prototype isn't really possible. There's just not enough space, so I went with a big, long smile instead. Next, I used a knife to refine the shape of the eye and even everything out. Overall, I think it turned out pretty well. What do you think? Alright, now just a few final touches left. We need to make Kissy Missy's and Huggy Wuggy's hands. I'm using a figure from Amazing Digital Circus again. I took Jack's and added smooth pink and blue pieces to his hands to give them a more complete look. Next, take a look. Our prototype is supposed to have this big purple hump on his back. We definitely need to recreate that somehow. So we'll have to partially disassemble him here and once again use some parts from the Amazing Digital Circus set. We can also see that prototype has these pipes sticking out from the sides. We need to figure out how to make them. Let me go back to the basics and pull out some parts from my old Lego Technic collection. This is how I created an imitation of the pipes, and now our prototype looks much more complete. He turned out creepy and impressive at the same time. At the very last moment, I had one more idea. We need to replace the shoulders. So now we can officially consider the figure finished. It's a simple idea that you can easily adapt and improve in your own style. Let me know in the comments. Would you like to see a giant prototype, about 4 times bigger with a lot more Lego Technic parts? I could even add clay and fur and turn it into a fully detailed, crazy figure. Honestly, I'd really love to make something like that. If you're interested, tell me in the comments and I'll do it. I'd need to order extra materials, more parts, and even some fur. It would be a pretty complex build, but I'm totally up for the challenge. Alright, let's keep moving and switch over to Lily. Once again, I'll be using a figure from Amazing Digital Circus. Lily has open arms, so I'm borrowing the arms from another figure. And just like that, we've got our base figure, which I'm going to paint and upgrade next. The arms aren't great quality though. This isn't original Lego. So I'm showing you how you can fix them up. I sand down the excess plastic, remove the extra bits and bumps, smooth everything out, and the arms end up looking fantastic. Next, Ragatha has a button eye, which doesn't work for us, so I'm going to draw a new one. Here I'm filing everything down, then drawing the eye outline, the eyebrows, and the lips. But honestly, I didn't really like how it turned out. I had a different idea in mind. Before we get to that though, let's move on to the body. the most important part. I found some purple acrylic paint, but I haven't used it in a very, very long time, and it's all dried out. I somehow managed to squeeze out a few colors. Let's see if I can actually paint something with this. Of course, ideally, you should use good, fresh paint. Using old paint like this isn't very professional. I probably should have thrown it away and bought a new one, but I was in a hurry and really wanted to get this video done as soon as possible. I apply the first coat to the skirt and the body and let it dry. Then I add a second coat, and of course, I paint the little purple boots too. While the paint is drying, my cat is slowly falling asleep, still peeking at what I'm doing but already dozing off. It's late at night, really late, but instead of going to bed, I'm still working and starting on the hair.
Don't touch her.
I'm going to make the hair out of purple clay. I roll out a long sausage. Shape it onto the head and trim off the excess a little. But once the clay fully dries, I'll trim it more precisely. By the way, you've probably already noticed the clay CatNap in the background. I made him on my other channel. Here are a few shots from that video. Alright, back to Lily. We let her dry completely.
A few moments later.
The next day comes, and on the nicely dried figure, we finish drawing the details of the skirt and the top. Honestly, I probably should have added one more layer of purple acrylic. But I was a bit lazy. Maybe that's not very professional. But we're not making super professional figures here. We're making ones that anyone can recreate at home. So I'm not going to overcomplicate it. Okay, now we move on to the fully dried hair and give it a little haircut with scissors. Then, with a marker, I draw the braid texture. It looks pretty good, but we're missing a bow on top. For the bow, I mix black and purple clay together. This is the little bow structure we get. We'll let it dry a bit, and after that I'll trim and refine it. And of course, we also need to shape the tip of the braid. But you know what? I really don't like the head at all. I remember that I have these super cool K-pop Demon Hunters minifigures. By the way, that was a really fun video too, but YouTube didn't give it any views, so go check it out. And Rumi had this exact face, which is absolutely perfect for us. What I painted before? Forget it. We're ditching that and using Rumi's face instead. And wow, it looks so much cooler now. And this is the Lily we ended up with. A fully playable figure for sure. Not as epic as when I made the Terminator. That one was definitely more complex and detailed. Here I kept things simple, but that's not all. Our Poppy Playtime collection actually started 2 years ago with these Smiling Critters figures. There was a huge set. Not just CatNap and DogDay, but other characters too. Let's quickly take a look at them. And we're not stopping there. After that, I'm going to build upgraded versions of CatNap and DogDay. These will be mock figures. Alright, let's move on to our 2 brand new mock sets.
Number 1.
Did they really number the bags like Lego so we can build the figure step by step without opening everything at once? I opened the first bag and immediately realized, nope, nothing like that. I can't even find the piece I need right away. Looks like I'll have to open all the bags at once. Why they even print numbers on the bags is a mystery. One time, there actually was a set where the bags were truly numbered properly and the pieces were packed in order. But in most cases, that's just not how it works. Alright, let's speed things up a bit and start building DogDay. First of all, I have to say, this plastic is really good. Honestly, it's one of the best Chinese plastics I've worked with. Huggy Wuggy was from a similar series too. The plastic feels nice and solid. I'll definitely be able to use this figure for parts in future custom builds. And of course, the final figure is going to look pretty epic. This is the kind of figure you can proudly put on a shelf. Here's a funny moment. According to the instructions, this piece is supposed to be attached right here. Look, but attached to what exactly? To empty space? I've noticed this before in some Chinese building sets. Sometimes a piece is shown as being attached earlier than it actually should be. Only now does this piece finally connect properly, and it's actually held in place by another piece. I've seen this more than once in Chinese sets. Original Lego would never allow that. It can be a bit annoying when the instructions aren't perfectly thought through, and unfortunately, that's a fairly common issue with some Chinese manufacturers. But I can't say it has ever stopped me from finishing a build completely.
No.
And this is how DogDay's head turned out. I really like it. It's nicely designed. The designers did a good job. They're not just making cheaper copies of original Lego, they're also coming up with their own constructions and ideas. It's always nice to see them create something original. Overall, both DogDay and CatNap have tons of cool parts that I can reuse later to build some awesome robots. So we definitely have a lot of exciting builds coming up. Alright, let's take a look at how DogDay turned out. And once again, my cat is spying on me from behind. Clearly he doesn't mind having a dog in the house. Now let's build the CatNap. Once again, the bags are numbered, but that doesn't mean anything. I still have to dump everything out. The construction is similar to DogDay in many ways, but there are actually quite a few small differences, which is nice. Alright, let's build the head. Here's how the head turned out. Very cute. I especially love the ear design. It's unusual and unique. That super long tail and so many parts that are just begging to be used to create some awesome anime-style mechs. You've been asking me to build Gundams. I'll definitely order some for upcoming videos and we'll build something epic. But I just had a thought. What if I built a Gundam out of Lego? Let me know in the comments if that would be interesting to you. I'd love to try it. I think I have enough parts to make something really cool. CatNap's paws with the claws are really awesome. I genuinely like the construction. It looks great. Let's take one final look at our CatNap. And now let's look at all the figures we built today. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. There's so much cool stuff coming up. In a week, there will be a new video with a brand new epic build where I'll be sawing apart a Minecraft figure and turning it into a zombie. You guys love it when I cut up Lego figures, so that's exactly what's coming next. Alright, that's it. Bye everyone. See you in the next video.